Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting recap. This one's a good one, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Our female lead despises middle school life. The endless bullying frustrates her, and she still doesn't understand why it happens. All she wants is one true friend, but she doubts she'll ever find one, until she does. Her classmates aren't the best, but she's relieved to have moved on to high school, especially since she finally gets to attend the same school as Rishjan. One day, as she walks through school, she bumps into Rishjan, who immediately asks why she was late, worried she might have run into trouble. Since nothing happened, Rishjan suggests they grab something to eat. Over their meal, Rishjan asks again about her lateness, wondering if she was busy. She explains that she accidentally fell asleep in class but was lucky a classmate woke her up. Curious, Rishjan asks if she's made a friend. She quickly clarifies that it was just a classmate, adding that if someone like her could actually find a friend, it would be nice. Listening to her ramble, Rishjan suddenly suggests they head to the gym so she can teach her basketball, something different to take her mind off things. She hesitates, but before she can refuse, Rishjan grabs her hand and pulls her toward the court. As they walk, a girl suddenly calls out, sharply asking why Rishjan is dragging her little sister to play today. Eiko quickly whispers to Rishjan to ignore them and head back. But before Rishjan can respond, a guy jumps in, mocking her for wasting time as a babysitter. Before he can finish, Rishjan grabs him by the collar, daring him to repeat himself. He keeps up his annoying attitude, pushing his luck. Just as she's about to throw a punch, Eiko stops her, reminding her they don't need trouble with those other students. Rishjan hesitates, then loosens her grip, until the guy scoffs and calls them cowards. That's the last straw. She shoves him into the bush behind him and warns that next time, she won't let it slide. Without another word, they walk off, leaving him stuck in the bushes, calling for his friends to help. They arrive at the basketball court, and Rishjan eagerly offers to teach Eiko how to play. Handing her the ball, she instructs her to start by tossing it around. Just as she decides to give it a try, her eyes drift to two guys playing nearby. Her gaze lingers on one in particular, a tall blonde-haired boy with narrow eyes. Even as he stands in the corner, catching his breath and cooling off, she keeps staring, completely absorbed. She's so distracted that the ball slips from her hands and falls to the ground. Seeing Eiko's reaction, Rishjan holds her close and admits she's been secretly watching the two seniors. She asks her which one she likes, pressing her to confess as they both watch the guys. But after a moment, Eiko simply replies that she doesn't like anyone, she's just zoning out, not falling for anyone. Hearing this, Rishjan quickly apologizes, brushing it off as a joke. Meanwhile, the two guys sit in the corner with their friend, taking a break from the game. The dark-haired guy insists on playing another round with the blonde, Ryu. Though Ryu originally planned to rest, he eventually gives in and agrees to one last match before heading back to class. They return to the game while Eiko remains in the corner, watching in silence. Noticing her quietness, Rishjan asks if something's wrong. Eiko says she was just thinking everyone on the court looks like they're having fun. Even though she can't play like them, just sitting here and relaxing feels nice. It's a refreshing break from the classroom. As they talk, a group of guys walks in, asking to speak with Rishjan for a moment. Concerned, Eiko asks who they are. Rishjan explains that they're seniors from the club and that she needs to talk to them for a bit, suggesting Eiko find something to do in the meantime. As Rishjan leaves, Eiko sits there, lost in thought. They're so different. The school year just started, yet Rishjan already has a club and knows so many people. Why can't I approach others like that? She wonders. While Rishjan talks, Eiko considers trying to play a little. She steps up to the net and takes a shot, but misses completely. I knew it. There's no way I could ever make a shot in this life, she mutters, her eyes stinging with frustration. As she stands there, mourning her failed attempt, a ball suddenly comes flying toward her. Frozen in shock, she can't move. Just as it's about to hit her, Rue steps in, swatting the ball away. The impact sends them both tumbling to the ground. For a moment, they just stare at each other in awkward silence. Other students rush over, asking if they're okay. The guy who threw the ball apologizes and offers to help her up, but she declines, thanking him instead. As he walks away, Eiko stays on the floor, lost in thought. She never imagined something like this would happen. And more than that, she just made eye contact with a senior. Just then, Rishjan returns, saying she heard a noise and came rushing over. Eiko reassures her that it's nothing, just a small accident, as she's already been helped up. As she starts to rise, her eyes land on a phone lying nearby. It likely belongs to the senior from earlier. He must have dropped it while helping her. In the next scene, Ryu approaches his friend, asking if she took his phone. She immediately denies it, but he insists, reminding her that she's hidden it before. He presses further, but she stands her ground, even suggesting he ask Cho instead. Cho chimes in, reminding Ryu that he had taken his phone out while playing at the gym. He suggests it might have fallen during their basketball game. Ryu pauses, trying to recall. After a moment, he silently turns and walks away, leaving his friends puzzled. They all head back to the gym to look for the phone. Realizing they'll be late for class, the girl decides to leave the search to the two guys and hurries back. Now alone, the two boys stand there, unsure of what to do. The black-haired one turns to Ryu and asks what he's going to do now that everyone else is heading back. Just as Ryu decides to give up and return to class, Eiko runs up to them. Both of them stop and stare as she pulls the phone from her pocket, asking if it's his. She adds that she found it when he helped her earlier, her face lighting up as she digs into her pocket. She hands him the phone and thanks him again, avoiding his eyes. But to her surprise, he grabs the phone without a word. She looks at his blank expression and quietly wonders if she's done something wrong. Why are they looking at me like that, she thinks, still frozen. Then the black-haired guy scolds Ryu for not saying thank you. When Ryu stays silent, he turns to Eiko and tells her not to take it personally, thanking her again before walking off. Okay, she replies softly, still stunned. A wave of guilt washes over her. No matter what she does, it feels like everyone ends up hating her. Rishjan snaps Eiko out of her thoughts, reassuring her that she did the right thing by returning the phone. But now they need to hurry back or they'll be late for class. Later, in the classroom, the teacher writes on the board while Ryu sits behind his two friends, quietly watching. When the teacher turns to give instructions, the black-haired guy leans over and whispers to the girl, "Mommy," telling her to stop playing with her phone and pay attention. She replies with a smirk, saying there are too many students for the teacher to randomly call on her. He warns her again, saying he's more worried about her phone getting confiscated. Trying to get under Ryu's skin, Mommy turns and says she's not like some people who lose their phones in panic. Ryu stays silent for a moment, then calmly reports that Mommy is playing with her phone in class. She immediately denies it and claims he's lying, but the others back up his story. In the end, the teacher punishes her. Later, while carrying worksheets to the teacher's lounge, Mommy grumbles about boys being the worst and quietly wishes she had a female friend. As she walks down the hall, two guys rush past her, eager to catch a game. They accidentally bump into her, sending the stack of worksheets flying. Frustrated, she drops to the floor and curses after them. Just then, Eiko steps out of a nearby door, lost in thought about shopping alone since Rishjan has club activities. She pauses, then spots Mommy on the floor, gathering the scattered worksheets. Seeing Mommy struggling to gather the papers, Eiko walks over and offers to help. Mommy thanks her, and once they finish, she asks for Eiko's name. But before she can answer, Mommy's phone rings. Ryu is calling. Her mood instantly sours. Picking up on the tension, Eiko quietly stands and walks away. Not the best timing for a phone call. Later, Eiko hurries through the shopping center, trying to finish up before it gets too late. After paying 1,850 yen for her items, she's surprised by how much it costs, more than she expected. With her budget tighter than planned, she decides she'll have to settle for a discounted bento for dinner. Meanwhile, the three friends sit together in the cafeteria, talking over what happened in class while they eat. Mid-conversation, Mommy spots Aiko walking by and immediately recognizes her from earlier. She suddenly stops, causing the guys to ask where she's going, but she just says, "I'll be back." She rushes over to Aiko, gently taps her shoulder, and asks if she remembers her, the girl she helped with the papers. "Yes, I remember," Aiko replies with a warm smile. Mommy says she never got her name and offers to treat her to a meal to say thank you. Aiko hesitates, unsure, but when Mommy mentions that she's eating with a friend nearby, she finally agrees. As they return to the table, Aiko realizes that the friend Mommy mentioned is the same blonde senior she saw earlier. The moment they arrive, the black-haired guy recognizes her and quickly asks if she's the one who found the phone at the gym. Aiko nods in response. He smiles and introduces himself. "I'm Nishida Sho, second year in Class A." Then Mommy chimes in, "I'm Sita Mommy, also in Class A, and the guy next to Sho is." She trails off when she sees Ryu looking away, clearly avoiding the introduction. Irritated, she yells at him, asking if he's just going to stay quiet. She scolds him for being rude and tells him to show some basic manners. After some back and forth, Ryu finally mutters, "Sita Yuryu." Aiko freezes, he actually spoke. The quiet, cold senior finally said something. She introduces herself too, unable to take her eyes off him. Ryu always looks at her with such distant, unreadable eyes that she can't begin to guess what he's thinking. As they eat, Mommy tells Aiko that she and Ryu share the same last name because they're cousins, and that Ryu is the older one. While Mommy speaks, Aiko just keeps staring at Ryu, even though he's looking elsewhere. Sho then turns to Aiko and says, "I didn't expect you to be the one helping Mommy with her documents, she just told me about it." He follows up by asking why she's out shopping alone. Aiko explains that her friends were busy today, so she had to come by herself. A moment later, she turns to Mommy and thanks her for inviting her to lunch, calling her Mommy Senpai. Mommy smiles and says she's not really used to being called that, so Aiko should just call her Mommy. When Aiko asks if that's really okay, she replies that she'd rather they talk to each other like friends. Sho jumps in with a grin, saying that being called Senpai makes him feel old and he can't deal with it. He and Mommy share a playful back and forth, but Aiko quietly observes something. No matter what's going on, Ryu stays silent and doesn't seem to care about anyone around him. Mommy then suggests they walk around a bit more before heading back after lunch. She says she can't stay out too late since her dorm is far from the city center and she doesn't know the area well after dark. Wanting to help, Mommy offers to drive Aiko back. Since she invited her, she feels responsible for getting her home safely. Sho agrees and says it's risky for her to go alone, so he offers to take her back to the dorm too. At first, Aiko looks unsure, but Mommy reassures her that Sho is completely harmless and encourages her to accept his offer. Going back alone can be difficult. Later, as they walk, Mommy asks if Aiko isn't going to order anything with her, but Aiko says she's full. Unexpectedly, Sho asks if what she's carrying is heavy and offers to help. She politely declines, but silently thinks about how kind he is. Noticing her hesitation, Mommy leans over and whispers that she should let Sho carry the bags. If Sho isn't around, she ends up doing it all herself, because Ryu never lifts a finger. "Is it really that bad?" Aiko asks. Mommy nods and says that even though Ryu looks approachable, he's actually not someone worth trusting. She warns that he may have a handsome face, but it's misleading, he's the complete opposite on the inside. Right then, Ryu finally speaks up, saying he can hear everything, and if Mommy's only going to talk badly about him, she should just stay quiet. Caught in her thoughts, Aiko reflects on what Mommy said. Mommy insists Ryu isn't someone to be close with, but maybe that's just her personal view. After all, they've known each other since they were kids. Aiko can't help but feel that Ryu is someone worth understanding. But if she tries to get closer, will he still treat her the same cold way he did today? As they stop in front of a claw machine, Mommy notices Aiko staring at it and asks what's caught her attention. Aiko says she just thinks the plushies look cute. Without missing a beat, Mommy asks if she wants one, then quickly calls Sho over to try and win one for her. Sho admits he's not great with claw machines, but he's willing to give it a shot. As he starts, everyone watches the claws slowly move into place and the tension is obvious on their faces. Just when it looks like he's got it, the plushie slips and falls back inside. Mommy laughs and suggests they try again. While all this is going on, Ryu watches silently from the corner. Then, without a word, he steps forward and tries his hand at the machine. To everyone's surprise, he wins the plushie. Mommy thanks him and admits she didn't know he was any good at these kinds of things. Jokingly, she says she thought all he had going for him was his looks. She hands the plushie to Eiko, and they all start making their way back. As Eiko looks at the plushie in her hands, she reflects. Ryu probably thought this was all a waste of time and didn't have kind words for anyone. Yet, in the end, he still went out of his way to get the plushie for her. On their way out, Mommy suddenly stumbles and spills her drink all over herself. Flustered and nearly in tears, she asks someone to take her to the bathroom since she doesn't know where it is. Sho steps in right away, teasing her about being clumsy as he offers to help. Before leaving with him, Mommy hands Eiko's bag back and tells her to stay with Ryu until they return, and to carry the bag herself for now. Okay, Eiko replies, her eyes wide. Now alone, she and Ryu stand side by side, wrapped in complete silence. Right now, she's alone with this senior, and the silence between them is so heavy, it makes things feel awkward and tense. Even though they're in the same space, it's like they're worlds apart. He just keeps staring at his phone, not once looking her way, and she has no idea how to start a conversation. It feels like he's deliberately avoiding talking to her. She senses that if she stays quiet much longer, the atmosphere will only get worse. So, deciding to break the silence, she begins to thank him for holding the plushie, only to turn and see that he's no longer there. She catches sight of him walking away and quickly asks where he's going, but he keeps walking without looking back, heading toward the elevator. She watches him and wonders if he's really planning to leave. Should she follow him or stay here and wait for Senior Cho and Mommy? She's unsure. Just then, Ryu steps into the elevator and says his friends messaged him, asking him to wait downstairs. He asks if she's coming or not, and that small question makes her choice easier. She follows him into the elevator, relieved the decision has been made for her. As they ride down, she falls into her thoughts, realizing how quiet things have been between them from the very start. When the elevator stops on the 4th floor and other people begin to enter, Ryu suddenly grabs her backpack and pulls her gently back. He tells her to stop standing still, reminding her that others need to get on. That's when she snaps out of her thoughts and returns to the moment. She looks up at him, feeling embarrassed as her face grows warm. She quickly apologizes and meets his cold gaze for a brief second before looking away. It feels like Eiko has messed up again. As she lowers her eyes, she suddenly feels small and out of place. She wonders why people had to enter the elevator right at that moment, especially now that she's standing so close to Ryu. But unlike her, he looks completely unaffected. He smells faintly of a mature, grown-up scent. Once they step out of the elevator, they find a bench and sit down. Eiko digs through her bag, searching for something. When she finally pulls out the plushie, she turns to him and thanks him for helping her get it back. But he doesn't respond. She can't tell if he's ignoring her or just teasing her. Just then, a woman walks up to them and greets Eiko with a friendly smile. She says she's just opened a new branch of her beauty clinic and there are special promotions with discounted prices. She starts listing the services, facials, skincare, hair treatments, and more, before asking Eiko if it's all right to hand out flyers. Then she gestures toward Ryu and playfully asks if Eiko would like to invite her lover to join as well. Eiko gets flustered by the woman's comment and blurts out a few awkward responses. The woman looks a little let down and asks if Eiko won't at least take the flyer. She says no at first, but the woman hands it to her anyway. Before leaving, she leans in and whispers that Ryu looks like a model, and that Eiko is lucky to have him. Eiko sneaks a glance at Ryu, and when he catches her staring, he casually remarks that she's been acting weird about this stuff since earlier. She quickly looks away and denies it, but deep down, she can't help wanting to look at him again. Without meaning to, her eyes drift back toward him when he's not looking. The silence between them feels heavy and strange, and she hates just sitting here doing nothing. Right then, Cho and Mommy appear. The senior girl apologizes for making them wait so long. Cho waves it off and tells her to just keep flipping her shirt so the raindrops fall off. Mommy chimes in, saying it's her favorite shirt, but Ryu cuts in and asks if they can go back now. Mommy nods and suggests they all head back together. The next day at school, Eiko and Ris-chan walk together down the hallway. Ris-chan apologizes for not helping her carry her things yesterday, but Eiko brushes it off and tells her it's okay, she can help her next time instead. As they talk, Ris-chan suddenly spots the plushie hanging from Eiko's bag. She tilts her head and says it looks unfamiliar. Curious, she asks if Eiko really went shopping yesterday. Eiko smiles proudly and confirms that she did, but adds that she also stopped by somewhere else. Riss raises an eyebrow and asks what she stopped for, but Eiko grins and says she won't spill the details, not even for money. Riss gasps in mock offense and asks if Eiko is really keeping secrets from her best friend now, but Eiko laughs out loud at her reaction. In her head, Eiko starts putting the pieces together. Since Riss-chan is in Year 2, Class B, and the seniors like Mommy are in Class A, that means their classrooms must be side by side. That gives her the perfect excuse to stop by during breaks, maybe even catch a glimpse of Senior Ryu. Riss notices Eiko spacing out and gently nudges her. She asks if she's okay, since she hasn't been replying. Eiko snaps out of it and says she's fine, she was just thinking about visiting her during lunch. Riss tells her she's totally free and doesn't have any tough classes. With a big smile, Eiko says they'll definitely meet at lunch. Later in the day, we get a glimpse inside Class 2A. The students are on break, and Mommy is clearly bored. The weather's hot, and she's been scrolling through her feed for so long that there's nothing new left to see. Cho is hunched over his desk doing homework, ever the diligent student. This annoys Mommy, especially since he's wearing headphones and can't even hear her calling him. Ryu, on the other hand, just sits quietly, not reacting to anything or anyone. He keeps to himself, like always. Mommy starts to question how she ended up becoming friends with these two, one completely tuned out, the other completely shut in. Her thoughts drift to Eiko, and she sighs, wishing she had asked for her chat ID earlier. That would have made everything so much easier. Just then, Ryu stands up, and Mommy immediately calls out, asking where he's going. He casually replies that he's going out to smoke. Seizing the moment, Mommy tells him to grab her some snacks while he's at it, maybe chocolate sticks or strawberry jelly. But Ryu doesn't even flinch. He coolly replies that he's not taking orders from anyone, and if she wants something, she should get it herself. Mommy jumps to her feet, yelling after him to repeat what he just said. He doesn't bother. Scoffing, she crosses her arms and shouts that he better remember this moment. Next time he asks her for help, she won't lift a finger. She mutters to herself, annoyed that he can't even do her one small favor. In the hallway, a classmate clings to Ryu's arm, trying to stop him. She asks where he's going and begs him to stay and chat for a while. She complains that they barely get to sit near each other and says she wants to get closer to him. But Ryu coldly pulls his arm away and tells her flatly that he has nothing to talk about with someone like her. Frustrated, the girl watches him walk off and thinks to herself that it's always the same with him. She can't figure out what kind of girl Ryu actually likes, he's always so distant. She's the most popular girl in school, and yet he ignores her completely. Maybe he likes girls who flirt more? Her friend chimes in and jokes that if she wants someone easier to deal with, she should try flirting with Cho instead. He's not as difficult as Ryu. The girl admits that Cho is good-looking, but says she's not into boring guys. Guys like that just aren't thrilling. Ryu, at least, has better taste and edge. She finishes by saying that Cho's the kind of guy Mommy can have all to herself. Back in the classroom, we get a glimpse of Cho's notebook, he's quietly sketching a beautiful girl. Meanwhile, in the hallway, the popular girl adds that if she did mess with Cho, mommy would definitely have something to say about it. Back in Aiko's classroom, she finishes her morning homework and decides to give her hand a break. Riz-chan is probably waiting for her by now, maybe even for a while. Aiko thinks it might be a good idea to take Riz to meet mommy and the others, especially since their classrooms are right next to each other. For once, she feels like she's actually made friends at school. The people here aren't as bad as she originally thought. Maybe she was overthinking things, convincing herself she couldn't get along with anyone. As she walks through the hallway, she accidentally bumps into a group of students. One of the boys immediately snaps at her, telling her to watch where she's going. Aiko quickly apologizes, saying she didn't mean to. But the boy suddenly recognizes her as the girl from the day before, the one Riz-chan had threatened to punch and tossed aside. He smirks and asks where her loudmouthed friend is today. Aiko stiffens, a cold sweat breaking out across her back. The boy comments that the two of them are usually stuck together, then mockingly asks if they've had a fight. His friends start laughing, clearly enjoying the situation. The boy adds that it's a shame Riz isn't around, he would have loved a chance to get back at her for how she treated him yesterday. She really got on his nerves. Not wanting to stir up more trouble, Aiko quietly turns and starts walking away. But the boy grabs Aiko's arm before she can get away and asks where she thinks she's rushing off to. He smirks and says he's not letting her go that easily. Annoyed and alarmed, Aiko tells him to let go and calls him an idiot. Then she yells out for help. One of the boy's friends quickly moves behind her, grabs her, and covers her mouth. He tells her to shut up, and then pulls out a small blade. Holding it close, he threatens her. If she doesn't want to get hurt, he says, she'd better do exactly as he says. He flicks open the blade for emphasis, his voice low and threatening. He tells her that since they've bumped into each other, they might as well have a little chat. After that, he promises they'll let her go. But first, he warns her not to scream when he removes his hand. If she does, he can't say what might happen. The moment his hand drops from her mouth, Aiko's eyes widen in panic, but she keeps her lips tightly shut. The boy smirks and calls her an obedient little lamb, then drapes an arm over her shoulders. His friend leans in, comments that she's actually pretty cute up close, and that she smells good too. One of the others tells him not to scare her like that, but the boy laughs it off, saying he's just kidding. Another points out that Aiko's trembling, and they all burst into cruel laughter. The boys lead Aiko down the hallway and over to the girl from earlier, the one who was clinging to Ryu. She's leaning against the wall, casually puffing on a cigarette. One of the boys grins and announces that he's brought them a new bee. The girl looks up, eyes narrowing as she spots Aiko. A cruel smile spreads across her face, and she asks how he managed to pull this off. He shrugs and says he just happened to run into Aiko while she was walking alone. Pretty pathetic, right? He adds with a mocking laugh. At the far end of the hallway, we see Ryu, also smoking, silently watching the scene unfold. After a moment, he speaks up, calm but firm. He tells the girl and her group to knock it off, then adds with a cold edge, give it a rest. Are you all that bored, or just looking to try something new?